everybody. Welcome to the Wrestling Archives podcast. Happy New Year. I'm your co-host, Tim Hackman.
And I'm your co-host, Rich Sigwald.
Thanks for joining us. We're excited to talk to you. We're excited to do our very first show for 2024 under our brand new name. We hope you followed us along to our new Wrestling Archives. And we appreciate all of you, listening and supporting as we've been all the WrestleManias all these years. So we've got a new look, new name, new outlook. All of our new socials and everything have been updated. So thanks for following us and sharing that information and helping us keep the trip going. We've got some fun stuff coming up for you this month. We've got Capital Combat 90, the return of RoboCop, and that's an incredible show. We had a good time watching that one. It's a bit of a trip. Rich, have you recovered from watching the RoboCop sequel?
I don't think you ever recover from watching the RoboCop sequel. I don't think you ever recover from watching Capital Combat 90 and seeing RoboCop come out in real life at Arena Show. It's kind of weird. It's a bit surreal, especially when he starts bending the bars of a fake cage. There's a lot to unpack with that one.
That show's got something for everybody. So listen along, you'll dig it, I'm sure. And of course, we'll continue our trip through all the WrestleManias. Just because we changed our main name doesn't mean we're going to give up on our quixotic quest to get through all of those. We'll preview some upcoming pay-per-views. We'll revisit some other classic shows, and hopefully we'll continue our conversations with folks inside and outside of the wrestling business. And that gets us to our guest today. We're very, very pleased to welcome. He's an independent wrestler hailing from Niagara Falls, New York. He's working out of Buffalo, New York. He's the current Empire State Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, a title he won back in November when he defeated Kevin Bennett in a steel cage at Wrestle Bash. He is also Celine Dion's favorite wrestler. It's very important. So I'd like to welcome to the show the Invincible, Vince Valor.
Thank you for having me, guys. So this is the first one of the new year. That means I'm the first guest. So I'll try to give every other guest something good to follow. So I'm happy to be part of this. This will be awesome.
Yeah, you need to set the bar.
You're popping our cherry on our new name too. So it's just, you are setting the groundwork for everybody else. Everybody will grow off of your shoulders at this point.
Firing on all cylinders. I love it.
Yeah.
Get in the rub. And Vince's cat Eddie is joining us as well, where you won't see him if we don't do a video podcast, but he's here in person and in spirit, so maybe he'll have some things to contribute.
Eddie likes to go into business for himself and try to get as much camera time as he can during my podcast. He's the star of the show. I'm just a supporting act.
It's nice of you to let him go off of your fame a little bit, coast a little bit, So,
Eddie gets more over than I do in these podcasts, I'm telling you.
Well, he is an orange cat, and orange cats are very adorable and lovable, and everything's soft and nice. So
yeah.
All right, Rich. So first of all, well, thank you obviously for being here. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. We connected via social media, and we also want to say congratulations on that title win. That must be super satisfying and exciting for you.
A lot of hard work went into that. I'm very proud of my accomplishment. It's been a journey. It's something I'm very proud of.
Very nice. And we'll talk a little bit about your journey there through the Empire State and some of the other promotions up that way.
That win though came at quite a price, a torn pectoral muscle, as we understand.
So the torn pec happened prior to the match. About September 23rd to be exact is when I tore my pec. It was in the number one contenders match. Happened about halfway through the match, and I don't know how I managed to do it, but I finished the match without being able to move one arm. I got some X-rays and MRIs done, but I thought it was dislocated shoulder at first. That's what the doctors at the show had told me. And I was like, okay, I can. It sucks, but I can work around it. So I still did another couple shows in Canada, and things weren't healing properly. I got the MRI done, and they told me it was a torn pec and I needed to have surgery. But they wanted to schedule the surgery around Halloween time, late October. And I didn't tell the doctors, hey, I got a steel cage match coming up. Let me get through that first. But I was trying to push back the date of the surgery as much as possible. So I think my last available date to have it happen was surgery took place November 21st. So I got it done literally 4 days after the steel cage match. So yeah, I survived a steel cage match on a torn pec. I don't know how I did it, but yeah.
Well, look at you being Cody Rhodes and all out there.
Cody Rhodes, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Did your chest turn that beautiful color of purple? Like
it didn't, and like for visual purposes, I was kind of hoping it would, because it would added much more to the story of it. But I remember and I went back and rewatched that Hell in a Cell match he had with Seth Rollins. Okay, he made it through this. Like how can I manage to do that? So I kind of use that as like my tape study or reference going into this cage match. But it was painful. I won't lie to you. Like it was tough, and like leading up to it, I'm questioning, like, what the hell am I doing? But yeah, I did that, and then did the cage match, and still had another match the night after too. My mindset was like, all right, they're gonna cut me open anyway. I might as well get my money's worth out of it. Like, try to get as many of these as I can before I can for a while.
I mean, I guess that's one way to think about it. I mean, it just makes my like toes curl and my legs tingle just thinking about like anything related to that. And I'm a sissy with pain, so I can't. Oh no,
it was actually all like a full circle moment, because I had a previous surgery back in 2012, and my first opponent back was the same guy that I wrestled my last match before going into this surgery, Andrew Davis in Canada. So like kind of a full circle thing there.
Wow. So we did notice that your sister started a GoFundMe for you to help with expenses while you're out of action. So if y'all could go out there and search for Vince Valor and the Tale of the Torn Pec, started by Christine Meese, and we'll get that up on our social media as soon as we can here. And you can also find it on the Empire State Wrestling Facebook as well. Help old Vince out here, because when the indie guys can't wrestle, they can't make money, and we want to see him succeed, and that's not going to happen with a torn pec and an empty bank account. So if y'all could help him out with these medical bills, because we're not fortunate enough like those folks up in Canada to get the healthcare. So you could help our dude out. That'd be great.
It's been incredibly helpful thus far for all fellow wrestlers or fans or friends or family or anybody that's helped donate to that, or anybody that's bought merchandise, because like I still try to get around as many shows as I can to like still like interact with fans and like try to find ways to keep myself valuable outside of the ring. Like I've helped with like aging matches. I've done like I got asked to do ring announcing, commentary, things like that, just to like try to find other ways to be active other than like just wrestling. Like I run a school, I run the Buffalo Wrestling Academy, so like things like that too have helped keep me busy like while I'm in recovery, and kind of made the recovery process a little bit easier because I could still be active one way or another.
Excellent.
That's super nice of your sister too. What a great sibling.
She went above and beyond to help me out. I couldn't be more grateful.
I feel like my sister would probably set up a scam GoFundMe and take all the money.
Keep the money for herself, yeah.
yeah. Some some siblings are.
Or somehow make your injury worse. Just pay people to come and hurt you more.
Punch me in the chest. That's not true. She's great. I'm clarifying. I don't know if she listens to the show or not anymore. She was super into it for a while, and then I think she just got bored. So
you guys are the ones that got to edit this. So if you want to cut out the part where you bury your sister for a little bit there.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
No, we'll bury her for another 5 minutes here. Let's get it.
So yeah, speaking of, other events, we know the next Empire State Wrestling show is Friday, January 19th, in Niagara Falls, New York, right? 7 p.m. at the Frontier Fire Hall. And you're not going to be wrestling, but I know you're going to be there at that one, talking a little bit about the belt and championship. What's the deal?
I kind of got a lot to get off my chest as far as like addressing the injury and like what's next for me. I mean, kind of like talking about everything that led me to this moment and now what the future holds for me, because it's a tough decision to make. I had to decide what's best, like physically, mentally, emotionally. Like there's a lot that goes into this. I need to be able to address the heavyweight championship situation.
And I'm sure your fans are anxious to hear. They want to know what else is going on. I'm sure they're hoping and wishing you for the best and hoping you get back in the ring. But I think folks also understand just how difficult these kinds of things can be.
I've met some of the greatest fans along the way, and like, especially now during this time, they've been incredibly supportive, but also very understanding that I have to do what's best for me physically, because I don't want to get back into the ring if I feel that I can't do this and perform at a high level. It's not fair to the people that pay money to see this. If I'm coming back and nursing an injury in every match that I have, I want to make sure I'm fully capable of doing this and performing at a high level before I return.
Well, you also want to make sure your pec doesn't fall off or something, right. Like down the road.
Doctors told me it's a very tricky injury, very tricky surgery. Like there's a high risk to re-injure it. So I need to as stubborn as I am about wanting to be back in the ring, because I'm growing really impatient with this. This is tough for me mentally. Like I gotta listen to doctors on this one and like take whatever advice they're giving me.
Yeah, good move for sure. Just a little, maybe not quite off topic, but not on my original list of questions here. But you mentioned the fans and all that. One of the things that going to the Virginia Championship Wrestling shows here has been great is seeing like the same folks, time after time, and people who really like live and breathe these guys and girls in the ring and their characters and their stories. I imagine you have some fans, sort of fan base like that there where you are.
A lot of the regulars, yeah, like around the ESWs, or like there's Revenge Pro Wrestling in Erie, or there's Greektown Wrestling in Canada, Neo Pro Wrestling. A lot of these places I wrestle for, like it's a lot of the same fans who like they have the regulars. So it's they're not just a fan for the 3 hours during a show. Like they begin to feel like they're part of your personal life, and then like they care for you in situations. I've had like numerous fans message me while I'm out and like just to send well wishes and care for my well being. So it's good to like they're paying for the experience of a wrestling show, but like at the end of the day, we're humans. So it's good to have fans that are supportive and understanding, and like they want to feel like they're as part of this as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if folks want to check out the show on the 19th in Niagara Falls, where any particular place to go look for tickets, that sort of thing?
ESWTix.com will have tickets. I believe we're actually streaming live on IWTV as well. That's where you can also catch any of our past events. They're all on demand there.
Cool. Very nice. All right, good deal.
All right. So let's back up. So we've been talking about the present here, but let's get into your story, eh? About what age did you want to become part of the wrestling business?
At what age did I want to become part of it?
Yeah.
Probably about 6 years old when I first like really discovered it.
Nice.
People like have that story of like, and it's such a cliche answer of when I saw Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, like I was hooked, brother, before I could even walk. Like they say that because they feel like it validates their fandom of this, and they like the second they could start crawling, they felt like they were fans of it and remember back then. I didn't know about it until I was like 6, 7 years old. My mother dropped me off at this daycare, and like all the kids there liked it. They had all the figures and the video games and the videos and everything that made them fans, and it was cool because like that's where I really started to learn about these things that I had no idea about, and like it's such a different world and something that I was gravitated towards. But it's something I never grew out of. Like growing up, like the differing opinions depending on who you ask. Like around the Attitude Era, I was a '90s kid, so like that was a hot time to be a wrestling fan. But like with the people that I was surrounded by, like it was you got picked on for liking wrestling, so it wasn't the cool thing to do back then. But it's something I never really grew out of. I was a football player growing up, so I was really passionate about that. But I also like I was as much as I love football, I was more passionate about wrestling. So like once I think it was like the week before I graduated high school is when I started training. I was 17 years old at the time, and yeah, so I started training from there, and I've been doing this for 2024, going on 14 years now.
Impressive. Where did you do that training, and who did you work with?
I started in Rochester, New York. It was the Kayfabe Dojo at the time under NWA New York, now called Upstate Pro Wrestling. They had a lot of great talent come through the doors there. It was awesome to be surrounded by such great people. But at the time I was still so young and didn't really know like what this would take and how far I could go with this yet. So I wanted to kind of clear my plate of everything else I had so that I could put all my focus into wrestling. And that meant like leaving college and leaving relationships and leaving jobs behind because like I wanted to put all my focus into wrestling. And that's when the opportunity presented itself to train at the Neo Pro Wrestling Dojo in Niagara Falls, Ontario, which it's literally like it was like 10 minutes from home for me because I live in Niagara Falls, so close to the border. Problem was crossing the border 4 times a week to train, so that was difficult. But I'm very happy about the training I received there. I trained under Tiberius King, JT Playa, whatever anybody may know him as. We also had frequent visits there from guys like Sean Spears or Scotty Turner or some of the best wrestlers in Canada. But being so close to the border, I was still able to maintain like relationships on the U.S. side, so I was able to pop in and train at places like UPW or Pier 6 Wrestling or Grapplers Anonymous, where I learned a lot from training there because they had Pepper Parks, the Blade. He was dropping in once a week to teach advanced classes. I learned as much as I can from him. Like, I feel, and I had to talk with somebody recently. I feel that if I just learned from one place, that only want to take me so far. I had to learn like everybody else's different perspectives too, and it's helped out because it's created friendships and created bridges on both sides of the border. So I'm getting the best of both worlds.
Right. And so you mentioned having your own wrestling academy at this point, the Buffalo Wrestling Academy, I think you called it. When did it start, and what's your approach to the training?
My approach to training is you get out of this what you put into it. Like you have to be able to fully invest in this, and like my path might be different from everybody else's. It's like everybody comes into the school with different goals. Whether you want to wrestle locally or wrestle every weekend or make it to a major stage, it's everybody comes in with different goals. So I try to tailor the training to each individual person's goals. And like I explain to them, like this is tough. Like anybody, like, because I've had people that like have wanted to have second guess themselves. They want to disappear from the disappointment of not reaching their goals right away. So they have these second thoughts of quitting. But anybody that's ever gone that route, I've asked them, it's like, you signed up for this. Did you think it would be hard? Like, this is what hard feels like. So like, if they can go overcome those type of things and have the right mindset to continue this, then opportunities are endless. They can rely on their fundamentals in wrestling or their mindset on the business to really take them to new levels. But it started with so it actually started around the time of pandemic for me, where like I had the uncertainty of if or when wrestling would even return, and like I was still trying to watch as much as I could. And my brother-in-law and I, Bill Collier, we watch a lot of bad wrestling. For whatever reason, it's entertaining to us, and like that's how it kind of spiraled into something that bigger than we ever thought it would be. Because we were watching these backyard wrestlers, and we were like observant of like the area they were in, and we noticed like that's like familiar, and we realized like they were like 3 minutes from where we live, but they found like their own warehouse or building, and like we had the thoughts like, well, what happened if we just showed up there one day? And that's what happened. It
Yeah.
was like they had no idea what they were doing, but they just wanted to have fun with it. But they had a ring, they had a building, and we were at a time where professional wrestling was so uncertain. So I was like, okay, well, if I can like get some reps in here to like stay fresh for when I do come back, I'll teach you guys what I know and like help lead you down this path that I've gone down. And like, but the building we were in and the facility we were in, it wasn't ideal. It wasn't a great place. So I merged with my friends Robbie Vegas and Delson Alexander because they were doing something in another area. So I brought my students that I had. They had a couple students that they had. We just kind of merged things together and formed the Buffalo Wrestling Academy. And we're in a great facility now where it's great opportunities. These guys are on the road with me every weekend, and even while I'm injured, I'm still on the road with them trying to get like use whatever leverage I have in these companies to get them opportunities. Because like this injury has taught me that I have no idea how long I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like my best years are probably behind me, but I want to, on my way out. I mean, I don't want to say on my way out. I'm not retiring. Don't twist that. I'm not retiring or anything like that. But I want to be able to help my students grow and succeed. I told them I'm not leaving until I know they're in a good place. So I feel that they have plenty of opportunities ahead of them with Buffalo Wrestling Academy, with what we're creating there and what we're building on, and it's good too because we have like strong working relationships with other schools. Like there's Ground Zero Wrestling in Rochester, there's Grapplers Anonymous in Buffalo. There's other places that like we try to get these guys familiar with so that they're not just wrestling amongst themselves. They're trying to like network with other students of other schools and create opportunities for themselves that way.
It's an excellent approach.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned the Blade. It's been a little bit of a I don't know, boom is maybe a little overstating it, but a little crop of Buffalo guys coming out lately. I mean, Butcher and Blade obviously are some of the bigger ones, right? And I guess the Bunny is also from up that way. Is that right? When she was with them?
I believe she was living in Canada, but
Okay.
but she's married to the Blade, so I believe that there's like
Oh,
dual citizenship there, the thing there. But like, yeah, they live
gotcha.
in Buffalo. They come out of the Buffalo area.
That's cool. Yeah. Did you want to?
Oh yeah, I'm blanked here. I'm so sorry about that.
Never mind.
I'm just
We're-
staring at my beautiful brand new lamp, just staring. You know,
We're working off the same notes document here, so that's if I'm nudging Rich, it's because there's a question that has his name next to it.
Yeah. So, any advice for somebody? Any advice for somebody starting out and considering going to wrestling school?
Be willing to invest in this and be willing to, I don't want to say allow it to consume you, but like understand that this can be very time consuming. Some guys will come into this and think it's just a matter of, train twice a week and wrestle once a month. Everybody has different goals, like I said before. But yeah, be willing to invest in this. Like, if you expect any promoter or fan to invest in you and spend money to have you a part of their event or buy your T-shirt, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. And it's both in and out of the ring. You have to be able to go in the ring, and you also have to be able to market yourself well, like whether it be through merchandising or investing in the way you look, as far as like the gym, tanning, professional made gear, things like that. Investing the time into this with tape study and taking notes and learning as much about this as you can and applying that to what you do in the ring. You got to be able to invest into this.
So it sounds like you've worked kind of all over New York and Canada there a little bit, and a little bit of northern Pennsylvania. And just kind of looking through your socials and stuff, as I've seen, Buffalo Championship Wrestling, obviously, Empire State Wrestling is a big one. You mentioned Greektown Wrestling out of Toronto, and I've seen others in Rochester, as far down as Altoona, I think I saw, and Erie. Are there others where you've made regular appearances, or you just kind of go wherever they need a guy?
I kind of go wherever, like anywhere that's willing to have me. I'm willing to work with anybody. There's a couple other places that I regularly wrestle for. Excite Wrestling, Immortal Wrestling. Any opportunity is an opportunity. I like to wrestle wherever I can. I found my home at places like ESW or Neo Pro Wrestling or Revenge Pro Wrestling, Greektown Wrestling, anywhere that's willing to have me. And everywhere is different. So like everywhere has a different locker room, and it's like I gravitate towards places where it feels like a family, and it's not like we're just there for a 3-hour show and like we're just there to wrestle. Like I gravitate towards the places where it feels like there's a common bond and brotherhood there. And the places I wrestle for, I feel like provide me with that opportunity to be a part of something special like that. But like the places that I've been wrestling like more regularly, I establish good relationships with the promoters, and I use that leverage to get opportunities for my students, because these promoters, they're always looking for fresh talent. They're always looking for fresh faces, guys that are young and hungry for opportunity. And so anywhere I go, the car is filled with students who want to be a part of it as well.
That's awesome. That's great. It's a good way to kind of use your place, your role where you've sort of worked up and established yourself. What's the farthest you'd say you've traveled for a show or an appearance?
I've done a few gigs down in Tennessee, a couple in Kingsport and one in Ripley. Not great experiences, I'll be perfectly honest. It was there was a time where it was on Viscer's Memorial Show where they paid $11 for the entire carload for a 16-hour drive. Not the greatest experience, but yeah, an experience and a story nonetheless. Something like, and I'll tell my students that too. It's like sometimes you just got to do things for the story. I've wrestled some places like I did one in Michigan like close to 10 years ago, and it was absolutely terrible experience. But you have these stories to tell to pass on to other people that you come across. So it's good to do things for the story too. And coming up, like you take any opportunity you get to establish yourself. But yeah, starting out, I did a lot around the Toronto and Ontario area, things across Western New York. But I ventured out a little bit too. But I've found places where like I can be a mainstay and build off that and build relationships with promoters, with other wrestlers, with fans. I prefer to be somewhere where I can be a regular and be a mainstay of that, rather than just a one-off guy.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you hear stories like from the territory guy, back in the day. You're like, oh yeah, we traveled, we did 300 miles and we got like $5 plus, $1.50 for gas or whatever. And I'm like, this guys probably took a loss to make that trip, you know, but,
And they have these stories, but like it's never like it makes them miserable. Like it sounds
yeah.
terrible, and it's tough to explain that to people that don't understand the business. Like it's like, wow, you drove that far for $5. It's like, yeah, like now you make me feel even worse about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate. So like in my other life, I'm a musician, and I mostly play for free. And yeah, so I've been asked to do a production of Jesus Christ Superstar that's like an hour and 20 minutes away from my house. And there's a very good chance that I'm going to try and do it, and I'm going to be miserable about it, and I'm going to complain. But I wouldn't want it any other way at the same time. There's just something about, having that passion and wanting to do it to drive you. And it's important, and it's something that makes you happy. And that's sometimes more important than the money. But also, if you're doing it for pro wrestling, I know, I hear it all the time. Well, we're not paying you, but you're getting exposure. And it's like, oh, well, exposure pays my rent.
Yeah,
Great.
you can't put exposure in the gas tank.
Right. So yeah, I was just curious, besides money, what makes an experience bad?
The long trips, maybe it's somebody that you have to wrestle, and maybe it's just the environment you're around. There's a lot that can make an experience like that miserable, but a lot of it, like if you go in like knowing that it's going to be a bad experience, it's probably going to be one. But like I guess the thing too is like trying to find some sort of good in it. If you can walk away with some sort of positive experience about it, then it was worth it. Um, but like the bookings that like I'll take, it's like, yeah, check off one of the boxes, whether it's like a big payday or it is good exposure, or like you get the chance to work with a big name talent, like things like that, or like make these bookings worthwhile. And like I'm more like intrigued to take them if you could check one of those boxes. But starting out, like, man, I tell my students, it's like you take on the opportunity you can get. Like any student or anybody that's new to the business, they're not in a position to turn down bookings because they feel it's gonna be a miserable time. It's like, no, go, be miserable and find some sort of good in it, and then come back and tell me the story, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
I like that. So speaking of, you mentioned, opportunity to work with some big names or folks that you specifically want to get in the ring with. Again, kind of stalking your socials a little bit. I see you've had a chance to work with like EC3 and Matt Cardona, and then some of the older school guys like Tommy Dreamer, who I can't believe is still doing it. I love that guy; he's great. And MVP, another guy who I think is very underrated. But I'm glad he's still out there. Are there others that you were especially excited to work with, or any of those guys and I'm also just kind of curious, what do you learn from working with like, sort of seasoned pros like that?
Everybody like has like a different mindset on this, but like a lot of like the same core values are the same throughout, and it kind of makes those a little bit more valid. So like you hear an MVP say something, but you hear Tommy Dreamer say it's like the same thing. It makes it a lot more valid, like because they all have like a similar mindset in the business. It's great to learn from these guys because you can learn like just how easy this really can be, and that's something I picked up like from working with Tommy Dreamer. Is like this is like a lot easier than a lot of people make it out to be. And like at the end of the day, like they're here for the same reasons we are. Like they're passionate about pro wrestling. Otherwise, they wouldn't still keep doing it as long as they are. Um, they're making good money doing this, and like it's their life. Like, it's their life's work. So when you get the opportunity to wrestle with a guy like an MVP or a Tommy Dreamer or an EC3, it's like they're all there for the same reasons. Like the more you talk with them, it's like they're just one of the boys. Like they want to be a part of this. They like, and you come across people that like keep themselves and like, all right, like stay away from him. He's just miserable and doesn't want to be here. But you come across people that are just really good people and like they love wrestling and they love to be a part of it. I had the opportunity to travel with Heath Slater a couple months ago, and oh my god, he's one of the greatest people I've come across in this business. Just his outlook on it, and like just being able to hang with him for a day and like chat with him and learn pick up as much as I can. Like The guys like that are what makes his business as good as it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. You seem to be kind of like, I feel like every promotion that sort of gets to a certain level has like the guy on the roster who gets to wrestle the big names when they come in, right? So we talked to our buddy Brandon Scott from VCW here, and he's definitely that guy. And Logan Easton Leroux is another one, and he's that guy for VCW. So like when Christopher Daniels comes to town, or Wheeler Yuta comes to town, they're the guy, and you seem to be that guy for like Empire State. Is that kind of accurate?
Not always. We bring in so many big names all throughout the year. It's like you gotta spread the wealth a little bit. I mean, you can't just all go to the same guy. But we have
Sure.
we have a stacked roster of guys like we've got our Kevin Bennett's, we got our Bill Colliers, we had Colin Delaney's. Like we have guys that are regular on the roster, and it's like they're working with these big names too. So whenever I am called upon, and whenever it is my turn to do so, it's like I try to put on the best performance possible, so that whenever the next big name comes to town, it's like I'm in the running to be able to wrestle him too. But it's great to have the matches I've had and the experiences I've had and learn from these guys as much as possible.
Is there anybody out there that you'd really love the chance to work with that you haven't yet?
My trainer, Tiberius King, he's my dream match. I've never got a chance to wrestle my trainer. That's always my number one answer that I haven't had the chance to do yet. If we're talking big names, it'd be Chavo Guerrero, because I see that he's still popping up here and there, not doing as often as like anybody would like to see him do it, but he's still popping up here and there. And I guess that's just the Eddie Guerrero fan of me that like, all right, like Chavo's the next best thing. He's like, not to discredit Chavo at all, he's great, but like, like
Sure.
I watch and I learn as much as I can from Chavo Guerrero Jr. as well, to where like he's high on that list for me.
Chavo is overlooked frequently. I think Eddie Guerrero has such a big shadow that people are forgetting that Chavo is an excellent talent and so incredible.
He's on that list for me as well, just because the experience I have and the time I've spent with him. It's like, all right, like I just want to wrestle him because I know it would be just so much fun and so easy.
That's actually a good segue to Rich's next question.
Yeah, because you just mentioned that you're a big fan of Eddie Guerrero. Would you say that he's your biggest influence as a wrestler? Do you have other influencers?
Hands down, it's Eddie. Like he's what made me fall in love with this. He's been my favorite wrestler for as long as I can remember. It's everything from his in-ring work to his promo skills to, most importantly, his passion for the business. And I think that's what separates him from everybody else, is where you look at a guy like Eddie, he can have a great match with a guy like Dean Malenko or Kurt Angle or anybody else like that. But he can also pull a great match out of guys like JBL or Brock Lesnar. And like Eddie's very versatile in that way, where he can just have a good match with anybody. And like that's the type of wrestler I want to be, to where like I can have a good match with anybody, good or bad. As far as other influences, I study a lot of Christian's, and not even just to like everything he's doing today, which is phenomenal, but like everything he's done throughout his career. Christian is very underrated, and like he's very good. He's been very good for a very long time. I study a lot of Dean Malenko, a lot of Bret Hart, just because of their strong fundamentals, their the excellence of execution, like how good they were in the ring, and like these are the type of guys I have my students watching too, just because like I'm very big on the fundamentals in the ring, and there's no better person to learn from than Bret Hart with that.
Fucking A.
Yeah, there was a recent meme going around of Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 kid, Sean Waltman, and Sean Waltman surprises Bret with an arm drag takedown, and Bret gets his little look on his face of surprise, and like the person is just like, this is why you love Bret Hart, these little moments that he throws into the matches of selling and being surprised and making his opponent look better like that. And
it's the little things that matter most. Yeah,
we will totally turn this into a like, let's geek out about Bret Hart for.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to.
Probably be careful. Yeah, we should probably be careful.
I will say that you're not the only person I've heard say that about Christian. That Christian is just like the sleeper pro wrestler god kind of that people watch and look up to and study fascinatingly, and that like Christian makes everybody look better when they face him and stuff. So
we had somebody, who was it we had on here, who was saying the same thing. Was that
it might have been Brandon, actually. I think Brandon was talking about about Christian as well.
Definitely a fan. So, and we've seen, I mean, Eddie Guerrero is obviously one of the all time greats. Just watching the stuff he did on WrestleManias, that we're up to number 30. So I think there's some of that's incredible. The one against Kurt Angle, where he like pulls off his shoe and then like flips over back like that. It's so like creative, and it all goes to like the psychology and the character that he is creating, and there's never a wasted moment with him. Like just phenomenal. Like I really,
Or you flash back to him facing Rey Mysterio in WCW, and he just goes a million miles a minute, and him and Rey just trade back and forth insane moves for 10 minutes. And it's so, I can start geeking out about Eddie Guerrero as well. He's a fascinating and wonderful and talented guy. And it's a shame that we lost him.
True shame. He's in a league of his own. Eddie is one of the greatest of all time. But I love being able to go back and watch his own stuff and how easily accessible that is. It's even with him no longer being here, he's still great to learn from.
And Eddie the cat is making an appearance, since we're talking about Eddie
is Eddie the cat named after Eddie Guerrero by chance?
100% is.
Nice.
Absolutely is, yeah.
They're probably equally agile.
Yeah.
So besides his influences, do you just have favorite wrestlers you like to watch, either past or present?
I mean, currently I watch a lot of the guys that like I'm around, just to see like how good they are. And one that stands out is Cody Deaner. I've had the opportunity to wrestle him a couple times, and he's about as good as it gets. So he was one of the matches I had recently when I first found out I was hurt. And he protect me in there. He made sure everything was just so easy, and it was one of the hottest matches of the night just because of how good he is. And you watch these guys like a Cody Deaner, and the more you study them a little more, it's like, all right, like he's good, but why is he so good? And it's because of his pacing. It's because of his connection with the audience, which like very few people have such a strong connection with the audience. And it's his mindset on the business, and like everything that he does, it just makes so much sense. Everything's so good, and I'll put over another podcast on your podcast. He has the Wrestling is Life is Wrestling podcast, and like I listen to that every week, and like just listening to him talk to other people, like there's a lot to learn from those too. But Cody Deaner stands out as somebody that like I learn a lot from just by watching and listening to.
Yeah, I just actually watched your match with him this morning, and it's a fantastic match. You could throw that match into the middle of AEW Dynamite right now, and nobody would blink an eye about how good it is.
That's all him. I won't put myself over that all. That's him being as good as he is.
Well, I mean, I'm going to put you over a little bit because, I mean, you were selling your ass off in that match. You were making him look good too. And if you're working, I didn't realize your arm was hurt in that match until about 3/4 of the way through, and I saw you wince and you were favoring it a little bit. But at that point in time, I still didn't know that it was your pec that was hurt. So I couldn't tell. I thought it might have been a legit injury that you were showing there, but you played it off. It looked great. That match, you would not know that anybody was hurt in that match at all. So good job with that one.
To break it down a little more, he was hurt then too. So we tried to have as much of an easy match as possible. That was like right around the time where I knew that the pec was torn. I had that match, and then I had another match the following night against Bryce Hansen, because the Greektown Wrestling for what they were doing is like they would do like 2, 3, 4 day loops. So like I did that one, and then the one the following night, and then the following Monday is when I got the MRI. It's like, all right, let's pump the brakes a little bit here.
Yeah. So do you have any all-time favorite matches that you've been in, and then a favorite match that you've not been in?
Favorite match I've not been in. As far as some of my favorites that I've been in this year, and I'll say this year because I feel like this year has been a lot of big moments, a lot of great storytelling of the matches that I've done. The match I had with Kevin Bennett, the steel cage match, it told a wonderful story, as well as the number one contenders match I had with my brother, big time Bill Collier. Even walking out of that with an injury, I feel we told an amazing story that night. And if anything, the injury actually enhanced the story a little more because it made it more real. I had a great match earlier this year with Sean Carr. Everything was so easy. It was just he's somebody that that I'll credit for being such an amazing worker, just because like everything's so easy with him. He's very good at what he does, and like the crowd was engaged all throughout. They made like if the crowd's engaged, that makes everything you do in the ring that much easier. Because otherwise you're just working your ass off for people that like aren't interested in it. But like if you can get the crowd behind you right from the start, then everything else is easy. But those are some of the great matches I've had. Like, and I've had others that like I've probably forgotten about over the years. Like I'll be reminded of, oh, remember this match? Remember this? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. But those are the ones that come to most recent memory.
Do you do the like the Chris Jericho thing? Do you have like a log of your matches and keep track of that? Anything like that?
That is my biggest regret in my career is that I don't, because I've seen and heard of others having that, and like I really regret that, because like there's a lot of matches I've forgotten over the years, and like I said, I've had people remind me of them, because like it's like I'll see somebody in the locker room and be like, hey brother, nice to meet you. Like, oh, we wrestled before. It's like I'm sorry, I really don't remember, but like, I'll take your word for it. But like yeah, that's been a regret of mine, is not having that. And I've tried to like jog my memory of like, and I'll look up on Cage Match of like the whatever they have on there, because like I know they only have like about half of what I've done, so it's like it's hard to get an accurate count there. But that's something I tell my students to do. It's like you guys are just starting out with this, like keep a notebook, keep a log of your matches, because like I don't want them to get 10, 12, 13 years into this and like have the regret that I have of not keeping track of them.
Yeah, that's always just something that fascinates me, because I'm a maybe slightly compulsive list maker, you know, and I have lists for like everything. You know, like I log the movies I go to see, I log the books I read, I log the the pay-per-views we watch. I have spreadsheets. I probably have a disorder of some kind, and but anyway, I'm always just kind of curious to hear about what sort of record keeping guys do. So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you could always do it through your it's not like you have receipts. It's like probably, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe the different promotions could help you out, send you old flyers or posters or whatever.
That'd be helpful of them, but yeah, I mean that's something I really regret. I try to take notes as much as I can, as far as like different seminars I attend, things like that, any tape study I do. But yeah, that's my biggest regret in my career, is not keeping track of all the matches I've had.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of a sidetrack there.
Tim has a spreadsheet that lists all the spreadsheets that he maintains, just so that he can keep track of what he lists. So, speaking of lists, and as we've mentioned before, we started out as a podcast that just really was focused on watching WrestleManias in order. Do you happen to have a favorite WrestleMania? And then we ask every guest that do you happen to have a favorite one?
I think the most common answer is like, so it's hard to narrow it down to one, because they're all so good. But like I feel like the stretch of like 17 to 19 was like those are some of the best like overall cards in my opinion. People will, yeah, but like there's like different matches on different cards too, so it's hard to like really narrow it down to one answer. Because people will associate like certain matches with one WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 24. What do you remember? The Shawn Michaels Ric Flair retirement match.
Yeah.
But everybody seems to forget that Taker and Edge had a killer match that closed the card. Like, but people they're first to think about is Shawn versus Ric Flair. It's like that with a lot of different WrestleManias, but no, I think like anywhere from like 17 to 19, like those were really where I was just at the age where I could really start to appreciate it a lot more. Like I was maybe like 10, 11, 12 around that time, so like everything like started to make a little bit more sense, and like now like I'm starting to think about wrestling a little more maturely. But those are some of the ones that really stand out to me.
Yeah, that's a pretty respectable stretch. 17, right around there. Those seem to be very, very common. I know what you mean, right. And part of the fun actually of going back and watching the old ones has been like uncovering those sleeper matches that you didn't remember. You know, like
29 I went to, so that was the
fun. You did?
Yeah, it's cool because like thinking back, it's like okay, like that was the last year of Undertaker's streak before it got broken. That was John Cena's last WrestleMania main event. So, like, thinking back, like, years later, it's like, wow, like, I was in the crowd for that.
Yeah, and like that was I had forgotten that was Undertaker versus CM Punk, and how excellent of a match that was, considering Undertaker's age and Punk's seemingly lack of maturity at that time. Still, like, that was an excellent match.
As a wrestler or as a fan, there's no experience quite like seeing Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That was actually the last WrestleMania episode we recorded, so we'll pick up with 30 in 2024. So you can watch out for that. I was going to go back, and you said there's really no bad ones. I'd like to introduce you to a little thing called WrestleMania 11, and you know that's that. I'm going to go ahead and say that's objectively a bad one, but it could also be that it came right after WrestleMania 10 with the ladder match and the. I don't know.
Brett versus Owen to kick off that show too at WrestleMania 10. Like, that's, and people forget about that match even somehow.
People say a lot of bad things about 16 as well.
Yeah, there's some duds, but even the duds, usually have at least one or two like really amazing moments, that you're glad you watched it for. So, all right, well, we're getting close to the end. We're gonna wrap up here. We know, I mentioned at the top that you're Celine Dion's favorite wrestler. So my last really important question is, what's the best Celine Dion song, and why is it That's the Way It Is?
Oh, my heart will go on always.
Okay,
that's the go-to. Yeah. That's my karaoke go-to, brother.
Can you hit all those notes?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right,
but I'm not only Celine Dion's favorite wrestler. I'm also Britney Spears, Katy Perry, Selena Gomez's. That's been like my most fun and maybe irresponsible investment in my career is buying all these t-shirts. Kind of spiraled out of control. So what happened was I was wearing like a hooded vest to come to the ring for a while, and I forgot to pack it one night. But I was wrestling in a mall, and I was like, let me go walk to this mall and see what I could find. And I found this Britney Spears shirt. I was like, sure, why not? Let's wear it to the ring that night. And it got a great reaction. It got so over. It's like, all right, like maybe I'm onto something here. So like I started buying more of these shirts and more and more and more. And now my closet is just filled with them. And it's gotten to the point where I don't want to wear the same one twice. So like I'll wear it once, throw it back in the closet, and like that's it. Or people will like send me ones, be like, oh, you should buy this, buy that. I was like, I don't want to just go to like a Walmart or a Target and find some random shirt on the shelf. Like I want the really obscure ones I have to search for. So like I have a very wide collection of these things. It's ridiculous, but it's something I've enjoyed. I don't know. But
I think it's fun.
I'll post on social media and tag like Celine Dion's favorite wrestler just to see if I can get some sort of response out of them. Hasn't worked one bit, but I'm not going to keep trying.
One of these days it's going to happen for you. I noticed you were also Hannah Montana's favorite wrestler, Mila Kunis, some heavy hitters. The ladies love Vince Valor. Must be all that invincibleness, I think.
That's right.
Plus, there's something just extra special about a giant bearded dude with all muscles and tattoos and stuff wearing Britney Spears. I think it's a study in contrast. It's great.
Grabs their attention right away because it's become something I'm kind of I've become known for it for a little bit because all right, we see Vince Valor, but who's going to be on his shirt tonight? It's something ridiculous and but it grabs their attention in a positive way. But okay, the shirt comes off and now I mean business. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Shows different sides and different layers to me, I guess.
I think you need to start coughing up the money for the VIP meet and greets when they come around on tour through Buffalo, and just get your photos with them. Be like, see, yeah.
You can do wonders with Photoshop. I'm just saying. I'm sure you have some fans.
Oh yeah.
Some fans who are into that sort of thing. I mean, really what you ought to do is maybe you could make a wish list, put your size and put up the folks that you really want the t-shirts from, and then let your fans fill them in. They can troll the vintage stores for you. They can come up with all kinds of shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, we really, we appreciate you taking the time talking to us. It's been great to learn a little about you, about your career, about what's happened for you and what's still to come. Anything that you want to plug while you're here?
Just any support possible for whether it be the GoFundMe or just buying merchandise directly through me. I have some in stock stuff for my Pro Wrestling Tees store. I've got some new stuff going to be on the way to be uploaded there. So any support is helpful. I got a long road for recovery ahead of me. So, I mean, any support I've had thus far has been incredibly helpful, and I appreciate everybody that's that's reached out.
And they can find you on Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, they can check out the next ESW show in Niagara Falls on January 19th. I think there's another thing I was going to play. Oh, your Wrestling Academy is Buffalo Wrestling Academy. Is that correct?
Buffalo Wrestling Academy. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or X now. Twitter is, but yeah, we're on there.
Cool.
Yeah, we're open enrollment at any time. So if you want to come get trained, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, check them out. Good chance to work with professionals like Vince. All right. Well, we are the Wrestling Archives podcast. We are on all of the socials as well, X and Facebook and Instagram. If you want to help support the show, it's ko-fi.com/the Wrestling Archives. Rich, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
You keep forgetting our TeePublic, man.
Oh, we have a TeePublic site too.
Yeah, TeePublic site. Look up Wrestling Archives on TeePublic. We got some sweet T-shirts designed by myself. Check them out. And also, I think you can get the logos on like mugs and frisbees and probably some sort of appliances and stuff like that, and get a magnet for your car. So make sure you check that stuff out too. All that helps us just support the costs of running a podcast, because we don't do ads. We don't really want to do ads unless Domino's Pizza or somebody wants to sponsor us. We're open to that.
We love Domino's Pizza.
Yeah. And Coca-Cola. Well, Pepsi, get fucked. But we do this because we love it, and so try to help us out too. But definitely, we've got a paying gigs right now. Help out our boy Vince here. Check out his GoFundMe. Check out his merch on Pro Wrestling Tees. Go to the shows. Support your local indie wrestlers.
All right, man. Well, we'll sign off for now, and thanks again.
Thank
you, Vince.